Hey everyone, Joe and Mike back from buildassetsonline.com coming at you with another Kindle publishing episode. The course is coming very, very soon. Buildassetsonline.com/Kindle if you want to join the wait list because stuff's happening by the end of April. We've said something's happening. Something's happening by the end of April. But in this episode, we're going to be talking about Facebook ads for Kindle publishing and the strategy behind it, why do it, kind of a overview of everything you need to know to get started with Facebook ads and Kindle publishing. So let's get right into it, Mike. Now, tell the people why even do a Facebook ad for Kindle publishing? Because if you've watched us, you know that we don't really like Facebook ads. As a matter of fact, we hate them. I call it the Facebook roulette wheel of doom because Facebook tends to just take your money unless you really, really know what you're doing. But for Kindle publishing, it is definitely a necessary evil for a book launch specifically. And a book launch on Kindle is very, very important. So why don't you give people some of the details that they need to know?
So when you publish a book on Amazon, typically for the first week or so, Amazon gives you increased exposure and your rank is a lot more fluid. So what that means is, since your book is only a couple days old, it doesn't have a lot of relative history to go off of and say, okay, this is the rank it should be. So that's the opportunity to really hit Amazon with as many buys, as much traffic as possible. And in turn, during this period of increased exposure, your rank will really spike in a good way. Your buys you get a lot of more organic buys through Amazon exposure, and you really want to almost ride the wave of your initial publish. And that's kind of what we call it in the community. We call it almost riding the wave for the algorithm. So this is really the point where things kind of it's swelling, and you need to get on the surfboard, and you want to generate as big of a wave as possible.
Yeah. So, and the thing is the way you generate that wave is you send people to buy your book, and at any given point,
Yes.
your email list, which we recommend you build, is only going to be so big. So you need to have another method of getting traffic to your book. And if your email list is capped out, Facebook is the next easiest thing because of the scale of it. Like, you can't resort to Google because the search volumes are set. They're not set in stone, but you can reach people instantly on Facebook. You can reach tens of thousands of people very quickly. But on Google, that's just not going to happen unless they search. So you're really just trying to drive targeted buyers to your book as fast as possible. So let's talk a little bit about the strategy behind it, and I guess since I do it, I'll talk about it. So one thing I want to mention is that we kind of time when the Facebook ads hit. So there's things that go on the email side of things that you handle, Mike, where we have emails going out promoting the book. Maybe some other authors and publishers are promoting the book, and we try and time this on the same day with the Facebook ads. And so you get that bigger swell of people buying your book all at one time. And then that's when you're going to get more visibility on Amazon because you're higher up in the categories. Your bestsellers rank is higher and stuff like that. So really.
So, I mean, let me just say something quick there. So,
Okay.
it's almost, I don't know, I don't want to say self-fulfilling prophecy, but it's kind of, it feeds into each other, right? So, a book that's number one on Amazon Kindle, they're selling probably thousands and thousands of units a day. And because they're selling thousands and thousands of units a day, they're number one. And because they're number one, they're getting all this exposure and all these organic rankings and all these, category top charts and all this stuff. So it all feeds into each other. And so that's why you want to get as many buys as possible.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the way that I structure the Facebook ads. And I might do a separate video on YouTube about this where I'll actually share my screen. But for now, I'll just share the overall strategy. Now, the idea is that you want to have a number of static ad sets that you use every time you launch a book. So say you were doing science fiction. I recommend creating a big audience of as many science fiction authors as you can find. So you'll be in your Facebook ads, like you're making the ad in the ad manager, and you're just searching for science fiction authors and adding as many of them to your advertisement as you can. So you're creating a lot of so that's one ad set, and you might have another where you're targeting people who read science fiction because Facebook has data on that. Like these are people who we think like science fiction in general, and then I might narrow that audience down with that they also like they have exposure to Amazon Kindle. So I don't want people that just like science fiction because that's really broad. So I will narrow it to make sure that they are also Kindle readers according to Facebook. And so the other thing that I'll do is that, and it's harder to do this when you start, but it's important that you're using a service like Genius Links to build your Facebook pixel. And what happens on Facebook is that when you have a website and you drive someone to that website, the pixel will cookie their browser so that you can target them later. But you can't place a cookie on Amazon's website. So you need to use a service like Genius Links to basically give them a link, which is going to allow you to retarget them later. So after your first ad, you want to be building up that retargeting list on Facebook so that because what's going to happen is that the amount of people you can advertise to is like going to be capped. Like that advertising pool on Facebook is going to be capped just based on what Facebook knows about the people that like science fiction and the people that like all those respective authors. But then you can take that retargeting list and create a lookalike audience to expand your reach even wider. And this is actually one of the things that we're going to be doing on our next book launch, because as of today, I've only kind of stuck with limited lookalike audiences where Facebook would say like, okay, this is, I think it breaks it down in percent. So it's like 1% of these people. So you can choose 1%, I think all the way to 10%. And the higher you go to 10%, the more specific it'll be, or the less specific it'll be, but the more people you'll reach. So by building these lookalike audiences, you're going to give yourself more reach to a greater number of people so that you can sell more copies down the line, and you're not limited to the categories that Facebook has in its Rolodex, if you will. So
yeah, and it also gives you the advantage of having a more unique audience, and so you have a kind of less competitive pool, and cheap's will be clicker.
Yeah,
clicks will be cheaper. I don't know why I can't say that. Tongue twister.
Yeah, and the other thing is that when you are by doing the same audiences over and over and over again every time you launch a book, these people are familiar with your brand. They're familiar with your pen name, or you if you're the author, and then they're way more likely to click. So your cost per click over time, the more you do these kind of Facebook ads, should be on a slight downward trajectory, because it's like, hey, I know that person, I'm gonna click and check out the book. I like the last book.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and beyond being on your Facebook pixel and just clicking on your ads, the more exposure that they have to you, the more likely they are to just sign up to your email list, and then you can target them that way.
Yeah.
And
it really is all a big cycle, and it all complements each other. And really, on the surface it might seem so much different because it's Amazon and it's Kindle and it's Facebook ads, but fundamentally it's not really that much different than what we do for dropshipping. It's just a different type of intent. Like the person that we target on dropshipping, we get in front of them in different ways and put in front of them what they want. And it's really the same thing. It's just using a different set of tools. So yeah, I always say that.
And dropshipping, you could be a lot more precise, and you need to be precise because you have strict metrics, you have strict profits that you need to sort of adhere to. But with the Kindle, it's like there's so much by having increased exposure, more people are going to find you, and you're going to make more sales, and then people are going to read your back catalog.
Yeah.
And so it's a different type of market, and you're a little bit more blind when going into it. But yeah, like you're saying, it's just sending traffic to an offer, and then you're continually going after the traffic that you were already sent and sort of targeting them on different avenues, whether it's a mailing list or Facebook or um, what have you.
Yeah, the back catalog thing is really important because the Facebook ads, although expensive, become more profitable over time because they're going to
Mhm.
the more people you have reading your back catalog and pushing your books up in the rankings, like the better it is in the long run. So, it's really like almost like hitting a critical mass. It's actually been a while since we did our first book launch using Facebook ads. And to be honest, when we make our course, I'll go back and check some of those numbers. But I want to talk a little bit about like how do we set the rules for spending with Facebook ads? Because I feel like we're almost not all the time, but yeah, it's you're looking at you're when we do it, you're looking at how much the book is making. I'm looking at how much the book is spending, and we're trying to kind of even those things out. So what's the method behind how we do that?
Over time, you kind of get a feel of when books start earning because, like I was saying in the income report video, we get paid by page reads. So people that have subscriptions to Kindle Unlimited, they read our books, and then we get paid by the amount of pages that they read. So a lot of times Amazon doesn't report these, or people will download the books and they won't read them for weeks. And so each book after its launch kind of has the trajectory or almost, the wave of your earnings. And it's usually like a 2 week lag time between if you get a whole bunch of downloads and when you start to see that kick in.
Yeah.
And so it's really just a matter of getting experience for it and understanding based on how your launch did, how many sales you made, the ranking it was. You can get an idea of how much the box set is going to earn, and if I'm going to make $15,000 off this box set over time, over the next 6 months or a year, then spending $3,000 on a launch is not a big deal. So over time, you get more and more comfortable with that, and you know that you're going to make that money back.
But starting out, does someone need to do that? Do they need to spend a lot, like on Facebook ads on their first launch?
No, no, because you may not get into the top 100 of romance or top 100 of Kindle every time, and I don't recommend it because especially when you don't know what you're doing. The point is you kind of just want to juice, add in some more juice to the algorithm, get your rank up, maybe spend if it's a box set and your other books have done well in the series, and we'll go all into this in the course. But if it's a box set and you've kind of already made your money back through the previous releases, then you'll make probably $10,000 off of a 4 book box set. And so, just add in a few $100 in Facebook ads towards the beginning, and then taper it down and just keep it at a rate where you're being profitable.
Yeah.
And that way you're kind of maintaining the rank over time. So
So
spend the majority of it in the beginning and then taper back.
So
but it can, yeah.
it should always be done in a profitable way.
Well, it doesn't have to be day-to-day profitability.
No. But long term, profitably, we don't recommend that you go drop a bunch of money on Facebook ads when there's no signals that you're going to make that back, is what I'm asking.
Of course.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that.
So I think at the beginning, like when we first did our launches, and you can go back and look at this, we probably only spent a couple $100.
Yeah.
And then, we tapered it down to $20 a day, then $10 a day, then $5 a day. And then, I think it's good to, once a book is like kind of earning consistently after those 2 weeks of waiting for page to kick in, if it's making $100 a day, why not to spend $20 of that to kind of keep visitors coming in, keep the rank afloat, and just keep getting that exposure.
Yeah. So the other thing we already talked about using Facebook ads to launch the book, but before we end the episode, let's talk about that a little bit. Is using Facebook ads to maintain the rank, because like you said, if you're a best-selling author, New York Times bestseller, or you're T.S. Joyce or something like that, you're in the top 100. You're getting sales because you're in the top 100, and you keep getting sales because you're in the top 100. But you have to have the exposure to support that to keep you there, because there's going to be other people kind of nipping at your heels. So, kind
Mhm.
of,
And also, in the beginning, it may not make sense to keep your ads going after the launch for a very long time because you don't have a big back catalog.
yeah,
If this is your first series and you've only put out 4 books, then people don't have there's not a lot of stuff for them to go back and read. And so we talk about how exponential it is and how it all builds on each other. It's like a backlog of books, and you've really made your money on all of the books, and you do a big launch on a new box set. You can spend a lot because you know what you're going to make, but your earnings per reader is also potentially way higher because now they read one box set, they can go back and read the others, and all of a sudden, you've made maybe $50.
yeah.
You can probably make more off of one avid reader, and now they've signed up for your list, and now they're gonna,
And
who knows what the lifetime value is.
yeah, final question here is just about that, is the lifetime value. I wanted to ask, so the first books and box sets that we've launched, how are those doing nowadays? Do you check them? I know they're not the primary drivers of royalties on our Kindle account right now, but do they still
Let me look.
get? All right, just give us a second here while Mike checks it out.
Is my video showing still or no?
Yeah, I can still see you. Just give us a second here, folks. While
So can you hear me?
yes,
How about now?
yes, you sound good. There's a little bit of a lag,
Okay.
so yeah.
Oh, okay. So last month, let's see, about 45% of our earnings were from one particular box set. But then we had 33%, which made about $3,700 from one that came out in December or January 1st. It was the launch date. So this is 2 months later. It's still earning, a few $1,000. We had another box set that made $700 that was launched probably, well, let's see how old this was. August.
So we had a box set that was
So
launched in August.
September 1st was like the launch date of that book. So you have September, October, November, December, January, February, March. This is the 7th month of this book being out,
And how much did it make last month?
and it made $720.
Yeah. So the back catalog is super important, and it's like a snowball effect.
Yeah.
I think, as we've been trying to illustrate here. So that's good stuff. So we'll wrap it up here, guys. Buildassetsonline.com/Kindle. Sign up for the wait list or get the course if it's out by the time you're watching this. And buildassetsonline.com/playbook to get our free course. And we will see you in the next episode.
Take it easy.